Hey everyone, and we're finally doing it. We're finally building an actual theme park in Planet Coaster. Now I know that is a crazy statement for me to say, but we are officially going to be working on a large-scale, keyword, theme park, not amusement park, in Planet Coaster 2, as a way of actually having a continuous project that doesn't feel like just a recreation again, because obviously I know I had Nemesis last time, but this time we're going to be doing a proper, full-scale, just big project, and this is going to be a way of me finally learning how to theme properly, because to be honest, I really, I need to learn at some point, so this project is going to be push me into actually trying to build themes and make coasters that don't all look the same, and also not try to build things that aren't just coasters as well. So it's going to work pretty much like this. We're going to have, hopefully weekly, I say weekly, we'll see how that goes, uploads of this park series. It currently doesn't have a name, so whatever I do end up naming it down the line, I will rename this video, and obviously possibly change the thumbnail as well if we get a style going. But the park is a British theme park. Well, I say British theme park. It's a sort of mid-budget theme park set in the UK. Think Alton Towers, think Thorpe Park, think that sort of budget and style. Maybe more towards Towers in terms of the theming, but I want to incorporate elements from some European parks with some really nicely themed areas like Phantasialand, but not quite maybe at that budget. Maybe more like Portaventura or something. And basically, it's going to just be a way of me trying to learn how to do theming and building properly, because I like the coaster building aspect of Planet Coaster a lot. It's what I've built my channel on, but when you end up building the same coasters over and over again, you do start to get a little bit burnt out. So this project is going to be a way of trying to breathe a bit of life back into what I do on Planet Coaster. Now, first episode, it's a dull one. I'm really sorry. There's no getting away from how dull this one is. We are literally building a car park and an entrance. Not even the entrance building yet, just literally getting the infrastructure and foundation down for the car park and the entrance plaza, alongside me trying to figure out how the pieces work in this game, because you'll see towards the end when I start trying to get into planting and vegetation that I was struggling a little bit, because we've got a new piece set, we've got a bunch of new stuff to learn how to use, so it might take me a little bit to get to some actually good looking stuff. And there's one planter I'm not massively happy with at the moment towards the end of this episode, and I'd probably end up going back and changing it, but overall it was actually pretty fun to get in and try to build something really hyper realistic using just art shapes and stuff, because obviously I know you can do this in Planet Coaster 1, but we don't have scaling, or we didn't have scaling then, so it was hard to make little markings and things for roads and car parks. And also the bus entrances work really well for this, because you can just make a little bus lay-by and then have all the guests funnel off, which I'm not sure how that's going to work with pathfinding, because my car park is made of paths, which might turn out to be a problem if we still haven't got curb and barriers in PC2 yet, which hopefully they add, but we'll come on to the update thing in a little bit whenever I get to talk about it, because goddamn, as of recording today, it's been a controversial one. But yeah, so the style is British theme park, kind of inspired by Towers and Thorpe and stuff, but the car park itself is just a sort of general design. I don't know, I'm not a car park, I'm not an infrastructure person really. I drive, so I have an understanding of how they kind of work. I've kind of just gone for the diagonal ones because they look cool. The actual infrastructure of this car park is probably horrendous and would be awful, but we'll get there, so it's fine. But for now, it is more detail towards the outside of the park anyway, so it doesn't really matter, just doing a bit of a staff car park there. But another thing of me wanting to actually try and build a theme park as well is because I have had experience of working at a theme park, so I do know a lot of the ins and outs of how they run, and I'm hoping that I'm able to use some of that knowledge to help me build something which would be considered realistic, because as much as it's fun to build good looking rides, if they're not realistic, it ends up kind of losing the immersion a little bit. So I'm hoping that with a bit of knowledge and a bit of my experience working at a theme park, I should be able to get something that looks decent, that is also, relatively good looking, but also realistic to it could function as a park. So there will be a lot of emphasis on staff areas and backstage bits and, utilities, I think I'm playing with power, I'm pretty sure, so I actually have to keep that in mind. So I am going to be doing things like having like generators and transformers in storage sections and transfer tables and stuff, because obviously we do all that anyway, but this series is going to be really focusing on how to integrate that with the actual mechanics. And I am going to try and make this a functional part too, so there won't be any like fake stations or fake paths or anything. I'm just going to try and work with the game, because there's lots of ways you can manipulate the game to actually look realistic. Like with, you don't have to worry about the 4 meter wide path thing anymore. You can just skinny them down to like 4 meter, 2 meter like queues and stuff. That does work now, so it's not really a problem. Stations are still a massive problem, because although we are now on the 12th of December is the time of recording it, and I think it's also the day the video will come out as well. We have just got the first update, which had the unload and offload stations. They're pretty cool, but they are still enormous. Like, I don't know why, but on the offload station, the train still sits really far back in the station when it doesn't really need to. I always thought that was just a thing so they could put the operator cabin there, but I don't really get it. But you know what? We'll just have to work with it. But basically, I wanted to see how much I could do in a park as a regular series, because I don't build parks, and I kind of been getting FOMO from looking at like a bunch of screenshots from like the Bro Nation Discord and stuff of people with these gorgeous parks. Like, I know Geekism's playing Quatica and he's starting this new park. It's just, they look great, and I just want to get a piece of that like proper park building infrastructure. I want to get that proper park building vibe going. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to, you know, actually commit to building a proper park and not end up getting bored with it. But I don't think I will, because it's something new. It's something I can work towards as PC2 progresses through its life cycle, and whether or not it actually like extends past its life cycle depends on how fast I build or how quickly the game decides it doesn't want to run properly anymore. This game is, well, far more optimized than PC1 is for a big change, so parks of a large scale should be able to run better, and obviously you can scale pieces, so you haven't got to use small pieces anymore to make something big. You can just resize everything to your needs. But I'm hoping that we can extend this series to be the regular thing on this channel, as it will also mean that I'm not necessarily just building hyper-realistic coasters anymore, because as fun as it is, I am getting kind of like burnt out with it, because I build a coaster, it's great, but then that's it. It's like, nice, okay, now I just have to theme the outside of an invert that I don't really know where it would live. Whereas if I build an invert in an actual park, I can then theme it and create really nice interactions and stuff and get proper nitty-gritty with the scenery pieces. So hopefully that's the direction we go for. And I'll be honest, I've had FOMO, as I said, looking at all those really nice parks that people have got. So hopefully we can start one ourselves, and then maybe also obviously it's going to be a like sort of an interactive series, so names and suggestions and stuff, and I will be needing a lot of feedback, please, because I can't build properly. It's like scenery, like, because the problem I've got is obviously this is a new game, and I can't rely on Team TK. Whereas if I wanted to theme in PC1, I could go into Blender, go on, you know, I don't know, Quixel, grab some textures, create some scenery pieces that I can then use to theme, which would obviously create a perfect result. We haven't got that luxury now, yet. Hopefully we do get it. So I am actually going to have to learn the pieces. And that really will be a bit of a wake-up call for me to actually figure out how to make things. So feedback on pieces, I will be posting a lot of these screenshots as they happen in things like the Bro Nation Discord to try and get feedback from people who are far more skilled than me when it comes to building actual parks, because I am very... Like, another thing I'm going to have to learn is laying out the park and not necessarily building a big circle and then putting everything on, like, spurs. I want to create a dynamic shape. I haven't decided yet if I want a main street or I just want it to straight away fire straight into a sort of hub area with a couple of shops and main guest services and stuff, and then it goes straight into rides. I don't know. I think it would work better if we did have a, like, main sort of starting area. Whether or not it'd be a street, I haven't decided, but I do have some rough ideas of what I want the entrance to look like, and you're not going to see this absolutely horrendous Microsoft Paint image I have made to try and lay out everything and how I want everything to look. I might post it at the end because it's quite funny, but I want a nice themed entrance something close to home, but themed, so that as you walk into this park, we can have some nice music playing. Because I actually haven't checked. I don't know if we've got custom music. I don't think we do in the update yet. But when they do add that, I'm going to obviously utilize that quite a lot, because I want to get some really nice soundtracks and stuff going on for this theme park. Now, as I mentioned, there's no name currently. I don't know what I would call it. It's possibly going to be some, like, we'll go on ChatGPT and ask them to give me a British park name. I don't really want to name it anything, like, funny yet, unless I can think of something that would actually work. But I know it's just going to be a generic park set in the UK that is just a theme park. So anything Kingdom, anything World, Park, things like that would probably work all right. I will just need to do a little bit of brainstorming to get the result that I want, because I don't know what I want for the name. But I will obviously be doing graphics and things for it as well, and I'll get a nice logo. I want one of those planters in the main plaza, so just like towards the end of the time lapse, you'll see when we get the crossings in, there's a little section where after you get to the crossing, you get onto this brick path, which you can see is built straight through there. And I want a little, like, curved planter, name of the park, and some flowers and stuff, because I don't know, I've been really struggling with, like, foliage recently, because, like, you can see these little, I've got these little, like, I don't know, it looks a bit like an avenue. It's kind of nice, but the point is it's where the roads cross over, but they've got little curbs with planters, and I was struggling of what to put in there, so I've literally just gone for a really nice, clean topiary hedge with a birch tree, because the birch trees are really nice in this game now. Like, all the trees are really, really pretty. They are animated beautifully, so when it is windy, they properly, like, bend over and stuff, so you get really good vistas and things. So I'm hoping that we can utilize them in the actual main park as well. And I do need to think about continentality when it comes to, like, trees. You can put whatever tree you want down, but would it survive, kind of thing? So I'm trying to use fairly realistic trees. Please do feel free to, like, tell me that the, bush I've put down would die in 4 days because it's in England. I don't know. I just think they look nice, but we'll try and learn things as we go along. In terms of the scale of the park, I haven't quite decided whether or not I want to go for, like, a small scale, like park sort of Thorpe size, or I want to go large, like PA or Europa Park or Phantasialand or something. Well, no, Phantasialand's small scale, but sort of that depth to a park. I haven't decided if I want to go that size yet, so I'm thinking we're just going to start building with a budget of a Merlin park in mind. I don't know. It's hard in my head to visualize how to theme without going over the top, because I know there is a balance you can find, which is being able to theme something realistically, but not then looking like Universal's turned up and spent £47 million on one building, because then it kind of ruins the immersion, because then it makes it look way too themed. So things like theming the back of buildings, you don't need to do. Things like doing roofs, you don't need to do that. You just need facades. You just need to know what the sight lines are looking like. You just need to know where guests are going to see. When they're on coasters, again, you don't have to theme the back of buildings unless you really want to, because, in like a Merlin park, if you were in... This isn't really a great example, because Merlin doesn't really have the most cohesive theming. It's probably easier to say in Port Ventura. In Port Ventura, all of the theming is very nice. It's obviously better theming than, like, Merlin, but when you're on, like, Shambhala, there's no theming throughout the ride other than the splashdown. When you're on Dragon Khan, the contained, like, field is all you're in, so all you have are just the trees and stuff. The only time you'll ever have, like, theming during the ride is when it's a dark ride or something, like, interior based, because there's no point theming something that you're not going to care about, because if guests are going through a coaster at like 40 mile an hour, they're not going to turn around and go, that bush is a bit out of place, mate, can't lie. I think I need something to look at. Like, that just doesn't happen. So I'm going to have to find that balance of actually making something look good, but also making it functional. Which is why when I did this sketch for the... like, I say sketch, I've not planned this, really. Like, a lot of this series is going to be me... It's like, the time-lapse will be cut quite a lot because of me deliberating and being like, I don't like this, I don't know what to do. So inspiration's going to come in waves and try and actually... Like, I'm going to have to just try and figure out how to, play this game and actually, like, build stuff properly, otherwise it's just not going to work. So, I think... Yeah, I'm going to have to find that really nice balance. And I think the best way of doing it is going to be using inspiration from real parks. Because, like, I know Towers the staff area is very, like, it's the green box you see from the outside of the park, I'm pretty sure. And, you know, when you actually go to the entrance, it's this, like, Dutch... Is it Dutch? I don't... It's like Main Street. It's like Main Street Disney-style fantasy buildings of all bright colours, and they've got, like, bricked roofs or whatever. Bricked roofs is not a thing. Like, tiled roofs. So you have, you know, all of that. But then if you go, like, 4 minutes down the road, you can see a container that's just got a bunch of parts in it, a workshop made of iron. Like, there's a balance of theming and immersion to realism, and I want to find that balance that isn't Universal level, but it isn't Blackpool Pleasure Beach with Valhalla, where literally if you go outside the park, it's a tin can. Like, Phantasialand does it really well. They have retaining walls around the park, and they kind of, like, lightly decorate the retaining... Do they do that on the outside? I can't remember. All I know is they've got big retaining walls. I'm not going to do that, obviously, but it's that principle of being able to hide things without, you know, building anything. But that is the sort of direction of the park. We're going to get to it, and in the next episode, I will be building the entrance. I haven't actually started it yet. I've literally... paused the time-lapse there. I haven't actually started the entrance yet. I've literally just got this plaza down. Everything that you are seeing in the time-lapse as the time recording is what I am up to currently in the project, so... it's pretty current, and if I do need to batch record these episodes, I probably will. So do keep in mind that some of this won't be current, but I will say when I'm recording the voiceover that these have been batch recorded, so I can't do like feedback and stuff. But you know, I'm trying not to have that happen. But we're just gonna work and see what happens. So it's probably enough waffling about the park. Yeah. So as I was saying before, today is December 12th, which is the first update of Planet Coaster 2, which is the 1.6 update or something, 1.01, I don't know. And it was the big one that they were teasing, being like, yeah, we're going to add unload stations, we're going to fix flume physics, we're going to do, you know, this, that, and the other. It's been controversial, I can't lie. I mean, I have only just installed the game's update, and I have just had a look at the stuff. They fixed a few issues. The new UI for the Coaster Builder is so much better. Like, it opens straight into little windowed pictures like it did in PC1. The scenery tab opens straight to custom instead of blueprints, because that was the worst feature they ever did. They need to do that with coasters. But in fairness, they used to do that in Planko 1. You'd have to press custom first. Who knows? There's new custom support pieces for coasters, and they look brilliant. Obviously, they're all scalable. There's like Mac pieces as well, and Intamin ones. Like, they never had that in PC1. It was great. They fixed the restraints on 3 of the coasters as well. The wing now has vests. They've given the King Dakar train the Vekoma restraints, and I don't hate it, because it's very similar to the Intamin one. It's just the new gen one. So I know that LSM launch coaster they've got in like the Universal Mall of America, like it's like the shuttle one themed to like a SpongeBob character. I think it's Sandy's something. That has pretty much those restraints just without the collars. So it's not a million miles off from what it should be, but I don't really care. I'm not going to use King Dakar very often, because I don't really build accelerators, and if I do build an accelerator, I'm probably now more inclined to just use a Mac instead and fake it. But then they've also added the T-bars to Formula Ross's train from PC1, so they are listening, and they do know that they messed up with some of those restraints, so the obvious contenders have now been fixed, thankfully, so we can go back to just kind of using coasters as they are now. But they've also added glass pieces as well, which are really nice. The edge scrolling, I haven't tried it yet, but apparently it kind of works. There's a lot of like rebalancing issues that they've done, which is nice. There's some things as well that have just been tweaked and stuff, like the offload and onload stations they're a thing, as I said, but they're kind of big, and I don't know, and I don't know when I'm going to use them realistically because of how large they are, so I don't know. We'll come back to those and see about in the future. But the main controversial thing that has happened today is they released a DLC. They just dropped a DLC randomly, no announcement. I woke up to this. I woke up to a message that was like, you know, hey, we've got an extreme spinner in Planko 2 now, and I'm like, have we? And I go on Steam and I see, oh yeah, Thrill Seeker's Ride Pack, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. You get the extreme spinner. the Big Bear Mountain style LIM Vekoma family launch coaster, which is cool, and then 3 flats. I think one of them's a Nebula. I don't know flat rides, but one of them might be a Nebula. The other one is one from PC1 that was just been rethemed, and then the other one is like this surfboard one. It's called like 540, and they stand on like a board with an OTSR. One's facing forward, one facing backwards, and then it kind of like swings or something as it spins. I don't know. Looks cool, but I don't know what it's based off of in real life, so we're gonna have to see. So, the main problem with that though is that it's a DLC, and it costs £7.99, and I know that is been causing quite a lot of controversy between people, because people are like, "Oh, I'm not paying £7.99 for 5 rides." I think the biggest problem with that thing is just the fact that they've released DLC so early. Like, I know the game technically launched with a DLC, which was the Vintage Ride Pack, but that was a pre-order bonus if you got the Deluxe Edition. I think you still get it if you get it, but you kind of get these bonuses, and you think, okay, why are you doing DLC when you haven't added some of the features from PC1 that we had on launch, like custom billboards? We didn't have custom billboards on launch. That's I lied. Why did we add features like custom audio? Like why haven't we got that yet? Why haven't we got half the piece set? Why haven't we got some of the coasters? And like I don't know what Frontier's motives are this time. I know for a fact they probably don't want to be doing what they're doing, but they are being rushed by a internal team that's telling them to pump out the game as fast as possible and put all this content in. And over the course of the next few months, obviously the features will trickle in of the things we've been missing, and they will readjust and add new things that will probably be more cost effective. But I can see why £7 for like 5 rides is not great. I think it's £8. I think it's £7.99. It's not fantastic. I mean, they are good rides. Like, the Extreme Spin has been something that people have been requesting for years. Literally since it got announced at Silver Dollar City, people were like, we need this in Planko. We've got to have this. So, why would they do it in a DLC so early? Because it's very clear that those were supposed to be in the base game. I don't know. I'm not going to speculate. I'm just going to pay the man and not question it, to be honest, because I want the Extreme Spinner. I'm a uni student. I just won't have 2 pints instead. I just will stop doing that. I will just have an Extreme Spinner one day instead of having an extra pint. Drink responsibly. But it's fine. I will just be a little bit like, okay, that's strange, and then just do it anyway, because I am genuinely excited for this game. And like, it has had a rocky start. Let's be honest. This game hasn't really launched the most fantastically. It's been buggy. It's had features missing, and I know a lot of people have been questioning whether or not they should have just waited to release this, but obviously they will have been pressured by a financial team to put this game out sooner rather than later, because it's their moneymaker. Like, the Planet franchise is Frontier's moneymaker, and it's very good, but there are some questionable things of why things are missing in a park. I say park, in the game, but I think I'm trying to be hopeful with it. I'm thinking that in time we will eventually get some of these features back that, you know, we are missing, because they're going to influence people to play the game more if they, you know, turn around and go, oh, by the way, we've got custom billboards again, so you can make recreations. We've got custom audio, so you can, you know, theme your parks to be completely unique to what you want now. Just don't add them in a DLC, please. Just don't do it. Otherwise, I will start questioning you a lot. I mean, I'm already being a bit like, this DLC was a very questionable choice, let's be honest, but we'll just have to deal with it. We'll just have to see what we can do. But going back to actually what we're building now, because, you know, there is a time-lapse going on, I'm just building the main middle section of the car park, which is going to be the main path which the pedestrians are going to take through it, because one thing I've been thinking about how to build this park is the way you can get into it, rather than just focus entirely on a car park and then magically you are now in the park. I've actually thought about like links. So you've got the pedestrian entrance here, which will, I don't know where this park is going to be set, whether or not it's going to be near a suburb or something, but this path would then connect to a plaza, main road, something, I don't know, somewhere you can walk to, and then you will cross the exit road, because it's a one way in, one way out. I didn't want to do by entry and stuff because I couldn't be bothered trying to figure it out, if I'm completely honest, for a car park that isn't functional. You're going to walk through there. There are several crossings, and I wasn't sure how to do this, so I made the first one here, which you can see me filling in right now. That's going to be a signal controlled one, so one with like traffic lights and stuff, because that is going to be where most of the traffic is going to build up when it's like exit or entrance time, and also when most of the people are going to be when it's entrance and exit time if they're walking across the pedestrian entrance. So being able to balance that, if I put traffic lights in, have them time it so that cars and pedestrians get equal priority, I'm thinking a lot about something that doesn't exist. This isn't City Skylines, but I'm now thinking like it is for some reason. But then I made the rest of them. This is really bad. I don't know the name, and if I needed to do my driving theory test, I'd be buggered. I think they're pelican crossings, zebra crossings, whatever the one is with the glowing amber lamppost that you have to give way to if you drive in. Like if you're driving along, somebody steps out into the crossing, you've got to give way to them. I've made the rest of them them because that would make sense. I know that might get a bit difficult when it's very busy in the morning, but we might have like imagining that there's like car park attendants that are gonna become like lollipop men on each section depending on how busy everything is in the morning. But it's, it's fine. It's not a real park. These people aren't real. It doesn't matter. The fact that it looks like a car park is good enough, and it would theoretically work enough is good enough for me. So that's the direction I've gone for. That's what you're seeing, and that's all good. But to be honest, I had a lot of fun building this. It was nice to try out some of the planter pieces, as I said, because as much as I was struggling with foliage, the modular planter they're genuinely really nice. Like, some of them are recolorable as well. Like, it's not the mythology one. I've been using the mythology one for the car park because it's like a really nice grey dirt colour. But some of them are recolorable, so you might be able to get away with using them as like concrete pieces, like flooring or something. But one, I don't know if that's one thing, but I can't seem to find if we've got any like rough concrete pieces. Like, I know in PC1 we had smooth and rough concrete grid, like the modular grid set, and then we also had the pavement piece with the curbs that came in the studio set. We had that, but in this game I can't seem to find anything that would be used for like a backstagey kind of, or like maybe like a ride area industrial concrete piece, like a sort of concrete that's been broken a little bit. The one that I made a piece in TMTK in PC1, and it was a really good like rough concrete piece. I don't know if we haven't got any of that, because the only one I can find is like a plaster like set, which is good, but it's a bit too clean. Like here, I was trying to figure out what to use as a pavement, and I was originally going to go with this like ruined wall because it kind of looked like bricks, but it ended up being too themed, and I was like, I kind of don't like it. It doesn't really scream British pavement. So instead, I found the plaster walls and just went, I'll just do it as like new concrete instead. So I've been using these for now. If we end up getting a new piece in the future, which we probably will, I might end up redoing that because it would, it would end up actually making more sense rather than having brand new concrete everywhere. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. But for now as well, just building some bush shelters. I also realised that this is an incredibly long time lapse that I'm trying to talk through, because this first episode was always going to be the longest in my mind, because I had to try and get the project in a workable position. I didn't want to do half a car park and do 2 episodes on it. So the first episode is extremely long, I think it's like 34 minutes or something, 33. It's a bit boring. I've said this already. I'm waffling utter nonsense, but it doesn't really matter because we're just trying to get the series started. So next week's episode, hopefully 15-20 minutes, and it will be the entrance, so it'll be more interesting. It'll be actually building something theme park related, and then the week after might be the entrance something, and maybe I'll do a coaster or a ride or something in the entrance that we have to try and integrate, because I don't know how I want to lay this out. I don't know whether or not I want to do I would like to not do car park coasters and things like that, but if it does happen, it's more realistic, I guess, because you would put something large scale next to a car park, even if you're in a theme park. So we'll just kind of have to see what happens with the design of this park. I want to go more organically. I don't really want to plan it too much. but I do want to plan zones and rough layouts of pathing, but like the actual rides and stuff that go there could be fairly organic with what we do. But again, I don't know really, I'm not very good at park design because I've never done it before, whereas a lot of people who started in PC1 would have built their first park and then learned as they're playing Planet Coaster 1 so they could come into 2 and just absolutely know exactly how to build the park that they want to do. But this is going to work as my lesson into actually designing a theme park. And I'm not confident it's going to be amazing at the start, and there might be a lot of retrofitting we have to do, as I realise that a lot of this stuff doesn't look very good anymore. Like, I know that we will go through the same life cycle that we did in PC1, where things that were built using in-game pieces at the start of the game age really quickly. Like, I have a feeling that that will be a thing. Whether or not the same degree as PC1, because the pieces in 2 are just infinitely better. They're way more realistic and look better. They look more like TMTK pieces than like Frontier-made pieces. I don't know if it's because they've been looking at the feature set of like TMTK from when it ended in, obviously with PC1, the life cycle or whatever, and then adding a bunch of the pieces from there to this game. I know they did that in Zoo, where they added a bunch of pieces that people had made in Planko 1 to Zoo's actual scenery set, so I don't know if they have done that. I think they have, because all the pieces do seem a lot more realistic, and obviously with the scalable feature, they can go from being one use case to another, but like threefold, whereas it used to be just like, oh, you could recolor it and rotate it or something, and it would be a new piece, whereas now it's recolor, rotate, scale. And that works really well. Like, these fences here are supposed to act as a barrier between cars and, people walking past, but these pieces aren't meant for this purpose. They're kind of just meant to be a fence normally, but they actually look really nice, and I don't think that they will age too badly. Maybe it's because we're looking at this game with a fresh set of eyes, rather than having to constantly look at PC1 now. So, I don't know. We'll just have to see what happens in a couple of years when this game does end up being, older. But anyway, we're getting towards the end of this time-lapse now, so I think there's a couple of minutes left. This is the plaza that I've started, and it's basically just me figuring out how I'm going to get this solid brick path to merge with the fake path next to it. So I am going to need to also put real path to allow guests to get from the buses to the actual thing. I don't know how to do that yet. I'm probably going to tackle that next episode when we actually start building the plaza to get it all functional. But the idea is I'm probably just going to wire a fake path. Because guests will always use pathfinding to find the shortest route to the entrance. So if I just kind of build a path off of the bus lane to the brick and have it just merge in, they're not going to see it, because you're not going to see it because the guests will always just go on the road through the path and then straight to the entrance. So until we get curbs, we'll just have to see what happens, because I don't know what's going to happen with it. So let's hopefully think that works. I don't know, maybe. But yes, this is the first episode of our park. If you do have any name suggestions, drop them below, because, as I said, I'm really not sure what to call this park yet. I may just go away and do some brainstorming, go look at a bunch of theme park names and see if I can come up with something nice. I'm not going to be, funny and call it, Alton Park or something, as, cop-out as that would be. And I suppose as funny as it would be as well. I'm not going to do that, because I kind of want to think of something more original that we can make a brand for. Because obviously I do want to do the branding, logo, graphic things of it, because I do study graphic design. It would be a nice side project to do with the park, when we can get billboards and stuff in too. So we'll just have to kind of play it by ear and see what we can do with a good name for this park. So this is also the planter I was on about. I was genuinely really struggling to just what to put here. So you can see me trialing a bunch of stuff, and I end up going with something really simple at the end. It may be a placeholder, it may not, I don't know. It depends how this game ages and pieces we get and the skills that I can get when it comes to actually building theme parks. So I don't really, I just don't know. But anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed the first episode of our new park series. Again, I don't know what I'm going to call it yet, but when I do end up figuring out a name, I'm going to rename this video to include the, title and stuff. So we'll see what happens with that. But leave your suggestions for the future of this project below. I will try to read as many as possible, try to get some feedback and stuff, and I'll try to make this as regular as a series as possible. Hopefully we'll aim for weekly. I will have to give some disclaimers if I can't make that, but we'll see what happens. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned for more, and I will see you all next time.